Convert the following complex numbers from rectangular form to polar form. So the first one we have is 3 plus 4i. So this is going to be in the first quadrant. X is 3, y is 4. And the angle here is theta. So this is a 3, 4, 5 right triangle. So r is going to be the hypotenuse, which is 5. Theta, well, tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent. So theta itself is the inverse tangent of 4 over 3. And the polar form that we want it in is in this form. So we just have to replace r with 5 and theta with the inverse tangent of 4 over 3. Okay, next one we have negative 5 plus 10i. This is going to be in the second quadrant. So on the side here, that's basically 5, 10. This is the hypotenuse, we'll call it c. So it's 10 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared. This is 125. So c is going to be the square root of 125, which is 5 root 5. Okay, so that's going to be r. Theta, this one we have to be careful. So let's just say, let's look at this example. Because x and y here are positive, this will be in the first quadrant. Okay. And recall that inverse tangent, the range for inverse tangent is from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. Okay. So what we're going to do is consider first quadrant. And then we have to adjust by doing some algebra. Okay, so we have inverse tangent of opposite over adjacent. So 10 over 5, which is 2. Okay. So this would bring us in the first quadrant. So basically, it'd be something like this. But we want it to be in the second quadrant. So if this thing is inverse tangent of 2, this whole thing is pi. So that means this portion right here is pi minus inverse tangent of 2. And this part right here is inverse tangent of 2. So theta is pi minus inverse tangent of 2. So we have r times the quantity cosine. Theta is pi minus inverse tangent of 2. And then I sine theta, or I sine pi minus inverse tangent of 2. Okay, next one we have negative 10 minus 10i. Now, because the x and the y are the same, we know that this is going to be one of those 45-degree angles. But this will be in the third quadrant since x and y are both negative. And because x and y are the same, this is going to be a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And for a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the hypotenuse will be whatever the sides are multiplied by root 2. So that's going to be r in this case. And this one has to be, well, we know that inverse tangent theta has to be between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. So, well, rather, this one doesn't matter. So what we could do is, we know that this is pi over 4. This is 3 pi over 4. So this one will be 7 pi over 4. And this one will be 11 pi over 4. So we'll be taking the inverse tangent of 11 pi over 4. because the domain of inverse tangent theta, well, theta here can be any real number. So we can take any value. So we're going to say 7 pi over 4 is theta. Now you can also say negative 3 pi over 4 if you want. So then r times cosine theta plus I sine theta. Okay, next one we have 3 minus 4i. Now for this one, this is similar to what we did initially, which was 3 plus 4i. We know that this is going to be in the fourth quadrant. So again, it's a 3, 4, 5 right triangle. R is 5. Now theta is the inverse tangent. So what we could do here is pretend it's in the first quadrant. We said theta was inverse tangent theta of 4 over 3, but that would represent this positive one, but we have to go exactly negative. So we have to go same angle but in the negative direction. So we just have to put a negative here. So then we have r times cosine theta is inverse tangent 4 over 3, and then plus I sine negative inverse tangent 4 over 3. Continuing with that, we want to first simplify and then come up with a polar form. So this one we'll FOIL it out, so that's 30. That's 30i. That's minus 40i. That's minus 40i squared. So this thing will just be positive 40. Positive 40 plus 30 is 70. And that's these two are just negative 10i. So this one is going to be in the fourth quadrant again. So, just to make it bigger. So pretend this is all in the first quadrant. It's positive. We just need to do 70 squared plus 10 squared. So it's 70 squared plus 10 squared equals c squared. That's 4,900 plus 100, so that's 5,000 equals c squared. So let's see, 5,000 is 50 times 100. And you take the square root of that. Square root of 100 is 10, so this is 10 root 50. But then 50 is 2 times 25. So that will be 50 root 2. So that's going to be r. And then theta, we know theta is going to be negative because it's over here. So from the previous example, we know it's going to be negative. But pretend it's in the y, pretend it's up here. You just do y over x. Inverse tangent y over x. Y is 10, x is 70, so that's 1/7. So we get r times the quantity cosine theta plus I sine theta. Okay, last one, we have 10 plus 10i over negative 5 minus 5i. This one I can factor out a 2 from the top. I'm left with 5 plus 5i. And I factor out a negative 1 from the bottom. 5 plus 5i. These will cancel, and we're left with negative 2. So obviously, I can treat this as 2 times negative 1 plus I times 0, just to get it in that polar form. And if we look at the point, negative 1 comma 0 is over here. That means that's theta equals pi, so it's cosine of pi plus I sine of pi. Okay, so this will be in polar form.